Hey there, hockey fans. Welcome into another exciting hockey preview. Pat Strawn joined by the glorious voice himself, Rhett McGibbon. And Rhett, today we're going to talk about the Division I men's team. Unfortunately, climbed as high as number 4 in the nation, but suffered their first 2 losses against the number 1 team in the land when they went on the road to Adrian. A tough Friday matchup where they lost, unfortunately, because of the power play that Adrian had, 7-3. But the next night, they really buckled down and played a very sound defensive matchup. Only lost 1-0 in a game that, for a lot of people, for the Flames especially, they felt like they had chances to win.
You know what I'm doing here with the Friday night game? I'm highlighting it, and then I'm hitting right-click, move to trash. I'm not worried about that game right now. I'm more worried about the Saturday game and the fact that you took the number 1 team in the nation, a team that is everybody believes will be right around that Final Four national championship game, and you took them to a 1-0 game when you lost with a minute and a half left. That's when they scored their goal. The fact that the Flames were able to compete in a tight checking game, they had the goaltending D, like everything fell into place, and they were able to compete at a super high level for a full 60 minutes, I think goes a long way in terms of confidence, belief, and, you know, everybody kind of questions. The Flames have had some playoff problems, I guess you could say, in years previous, and last year they got a win when it came to the national tournament, and now they've taken Adrian that close. I think there's a belief now, like, hey, this is a group of guys that if we play hard, and every time you go to a national tournament, the stars have to align a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if that happens, the Flames could be there at the end of the day, sitting with a national championship, and a long way to go, and a lot of hard work, but the result from that second game against Adrian, a 1-0 loss, speaks volumes of how good this hockey team is.
And speaking of volumes, obviously, there are always takeaways that you want to take away from both matchups. Even in Friday's game, unfortunately, even though it's in the trash bin, there's still things you got to get out of that trash bin to look at. But yeah, so talk a little bit about that, because obviously there are some takeaways from the weekends. But for you, so to speak, what would you say is probably for the Flames Nation's biggest takeaway from those 2 matchups?
Okay, positive is that you have the goaltending to compete. A lot of people coming in, you have 2 first-year guys. How would they be able to handle this kind of atmosphere? And things bode well. The negative is you have to stay out of the box.
Yes.
And that's an aspect of Liberty Hockey's game that's plagued them in the past, is penalties and going to the penalty box. Adrian, they burnt you on that. You didn't play well, and they made you pay. So, but at least you know now, hey, if we're disciplined, we're right there. And I'd say that's your +1 and your -1 in that from this weekend series.
Well, we got to hear from the voice himself and what his +1 and -1 was. But now we're going to hear from the head bench boss himself and Kirk Handy. Not only hear his takeaways from how they did against Adrian, but also as they prepare for an ESAL matchup against rival Stony Brook.
Yeah, it was a great opportunity for us to learn and to gauge where we're at and to see what we need to improve on moving forward. You know, I think the game on Friday, we had way too many self-inflicted wounds that turned up into their goals in the back of our net. And so we really tried to, on Saturday, try and play a simpler game, but play a more structured game, and really to make sure that that we were playing a lot better heading into the rest of our year. So Friday was a good wake-up call. Saturday we felt good about our game, but hey, we had opportunities to win that game too. And I think in those games where you're playing against the top teams, you got to realize that there's only going to be a couple times a game where you can, where you have to really bear down and put the puck in the net. So, great opportunity for us to have those types of games in October, and a great preparation for the rest of the year. Stony Brook, I mean, we played them for years, and we know what type of game it'll be. It's a conference game. It's a big one. So, we have our minds fully set on coming ready to play for Friday and Saturday night.
And Rhett, you heard it from the bench boss himself and Kirk Handy. He was talking about the team preparing for a very tough and physical matchup against the Seawolves. And obviously, whenever the Seawolves come to the LIC, it's always a fun matchup that really leads to a very, as you said, tight checking game, but also really playoff hockey style atmosphere.
Yeah, you could argue that really, besides maybe Ohio in the ACHA, Stony Brook is the Flames' biggest rival.
Yeah.
And this is a team that, as you mentioned, years previous, have always comes into the LIC. They're prepared, ready to go, and their coach does a good job on the recruiting trail, bringing guys into that program. And they maybe had a bit of a down year last year, but they're looking to bounce back here this season. And it's always quality hockey game, and you can never take Stony Brook for granted. Even if they're down maybe in the rankings a little bit, you have to know that they're going to be prepared and ready to take you on. And that's the thing with the Flames. If teams see like, hey, they only lost to Adrian 1-0, let's compete against them hard. It's kind of a measuring stick, a litmus test for us as well. The Flames have a target on their back this year. When you're top 4, top 5 in the country, teams know that if they beat you, it's going to be a jump in the rankings for them. So we've always said, just because the Flames are, they've got a good broadcast, people like to watch it, it kind of adds a little extra pressure and motivation for the opposition when they come in. But now with the Flames ranking, it's even more added, motivation for teams that play at the LIC to do well.
Well, motivation will be huge for the Seawolves to try to be able to pull off a big upset here at the LIC. But for the Flames, they're going to try to get back in the win column against a very not only tough conference opponent, but even more so a rival that potentially would put them in a solid place as far as the ACH standings and be a top. Rhett, always a pleasure talking hockey with you. Thanks for joining us. But in the meantime, as always, make sure to check out that social media. And follow the Flames, and for all the Flame Insider news, also follow this guy, because obviously he's a bit of a hockey insider. It gives you all the good hockey tips and all the good hockey goss, as you like to say. Yeah. Hey, and make sure to tune into the broadcast this weekend. Pat Strawn, Rhett McGibbon, thanks for tuning in.